Everybody knows that Sacramento, California, and the Sacramento metro area is the best bang for your buck in California. So many people are selling their $2 million or 1,000 square foot condos in San Jose, in Santa Monica, and making the move up to Sacramento and buying their dream home at literally a fraction of the price. Guys, Sacramento is where you come for the deals, where you come for the California lifestyle, where you come to be close to Lake Tahoe and Napa. Sacramento has it all. But there are some mistakes people make along the way. Now, I've moved in hundreds upon hundreds of people into the Sacramento area. And honestly, guys, these are common mistakes people make or common misconceptions people have about when they first move into the Sacramento area. These are things that are going to help you pick the right house, right area, and not make that mistake that 2 years down the road, you're probably going to want to sell your house and move to another area of Sacramento. These are key things that you need to keep in mind if you are thinking about making the move to Sacramento. So if that's you, maybe you've been watching YouTube videos and you think to yourself, I know everything there is to know about Sacramento, I'm good to go. I promise you, I guarantee you that at the end of this video, you're going to know at least a couple other things that you might have never even considered that could help you in making the best decision you've ever made when making the move to the Sacramento area. Let's get into the video. Okay, first let's jump into electricity. When a lot of people come to the Sacramento area, they've maybe been on PG&E their entire lives and they've not had a great experience. When you come to the Sacramento area, you have three choices. You have PG&E, you have SMUD, and you have Roseville Electric. Roseville Electric, you're in Roseville, you got Roseville Electric, which is pretty good. SMUD is in Sacramento County, and then basically PG&E is in El Dorado County, Yolo County, and in the rest of Placer County. Now, there have been a lot of speculations as to which one is better, Roseville Electric or SMUD. As of February, SMUD's rates are better. Now, what we've been seeing in the Sacramento area is those Roseville Electric's rates are going up. They're not like PG&E crazy, but as you can see right now in these graphs and everything too, like Roseville Electric prices are getting higher than SMUD's. Right now, if you're looking for electricity costs, because a lot of people come into the Sacramento area and they buy bigger homes, or they buy older homes that maybe aren't just energy efficient. So it's a good thing to kind of calculate exactly what your energy bill is going to look like, because during summertime, like let's say you're coming in from the Bay Area, we have a hotter summertime. And so you're going to be probably using that AC a lot more. And so that's just something to kind of factor in. But based on this and based on the Sacramento area, you're talking about SMUD being the most affordable, then Roseville Electric just by a hair, a little bit higher, and then PG&E. Now, the bigger killer about PG&E than anything else are the brownouts. What we notice is during fire season and everything too, we have these brownouts. Usually fire season is during the hotter time of the year here in the Sacramento area. And basically you have no electricity when you're in PG&E country. Now, if you have a generator, you might be good to go. But for the most part, if you don't have a generator and you're on PG&E and you have a brownout, that just means you have no AC. That means all the food in your refrigerator is going to go bad and you're in deep trouble. So not only is there a price thing about PG&E, SMUD, and Roseville Electric, but there's also the idea of brownouts. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is as well is like, this is how it is right now. Now, what I've seen is PG&E has just gotten worse and worse and worse every single year. And now Roseville Electric is also going up in price. So when you're thinking about maybe moving up to the Sacramento area and you're thinking, oh, I want to go to Roseville, or I want to go to like maybe El Dorado Hills, or I want to stay in Sacramento County. A lot of people are pivoting to Sacramento County. One of the main reasons though, is because they love SMUD. Whether you like it or not, home insurance is going up. And in California, it's gotten kind of brutal. We got the LA fires that affected it as well too. But one of the things about the Sacramento metro area is that home insurance is becoming one of those things that people are very much aware of. And so when they're moving into Sacramento, areas like, the further out there in El Dorado Hills, like Shingle Springs, like some areas, some parts of Rockland, Loomis, Auburn, those are some areas that a lot of people are very conscious of fire insurance as far as home insurance goes. So what I always tell people is just before you fall in love with a house, and I've also seen a lot of realtors that list homes and they don't really have accurate numbers about home insurance and whatnot. A lot of people also are grandfathered in on their home insurance policies. So a lot of times, like let's say you're looking at a house to buy and you're asking, well, how much is a home insurance policy? They're going to tell you a price, but they could have been grandfathered in. And all of a sudden you go to get a policy and you're paying like 3 to 4 times as much on your policy. So one of the things to note is for home insurance, especially for fire insurance, it's all about like access. The closer you are to Folsom Lake, home insurance is going to be a little bit more expensive. The further you are from fire departments, the further you are from like fire hydrants. And if you're not accessible, I mean, if you're looking at that gorgeous house in El Dorado Hills, let's say that has that 1-lane road and you're on a scenic mountain overlooking Folsom Lake, you're probably going to have some issues. So I would say one of the biggest things for you guys to do right now is to tie yourself to a good home insurance broker, like someone at Farmers that's a broker. Don't go for just your insurance agents, but go for a broker, someone who has like access to companies like Granger, someone that like can actually work with you and get you a very good rate. We've got a couple people that we refer people to always, and it's always good to work with local people because they kind of know the area as well too. Google is notorious right now for doing the AI mapping. And so all of a sudden what you see is sometimes you get directly sent to the California Fair Plan where maybe you didn't have to if you worked with another insurance agent. So home insurance, like I said, is a big one. And like I said, Sacramento County, not as much, but then areas of like, Placer County, like near Folsom Lake, Grant Bay, like Loomis, areas like, in El Dorado Hills, Shingle Springs, Cameron Park, areas like that are a little bit more remote. Now, the new homes, though, one thing to be said is the new homes, because they're built with better sprinkler systems and they're just built a little bit more fire resistant, I guess you can say. They don't have as much problems with home insurance as some of the older homes. And also the value of the home is definitely going to factor into your home insurance policy. Now, I've seen home insurance go all the way up to like $19,000 a year. Yeah, I know, pretty crazy. So just also make sure that you're really, really on top of this. Don't fall in love with that house on Zillow where you say to yourself, oh, we're going out there and we're going to buy this house. Now, the other thing too about home insurance that kind of is a killer is that it's getting worse. So what I mean by that is, let's say you buy a house and you're like, you know what, we're about $1,000 every single month for home insurance, but it's our dream house and we love it. It could progressively get worse. So you're not only dealing with home insurance right now, but you're thinking to yourself, what's it going to be like in a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now? So this is becoming a big issue in California in general, in the United States. But I would say if you're moving to the Sacramento area, before you fall in love with a property, just make sure that you're running it by your home insurance person and they give you an accurate read on what it's going to look like today and what it's going to look like in the future. Now let's talk a little bit about traffic. We're no LA and we're no San Francisco, but traffic is becoming an issue here in the Sacramento area. What you notice around 9 or 5 o'clock, there are going to be bottlenecks on the freeways. When the freeways intersect near downtown, it gets to be kind of crazy. The causeway that's actually the entrance to Sacramento, it's going to be brutal no matter when you cross it. Now, one of the things also you're going to notice is that there are a lot of side streets that get you from point A to point B. Bradshaw also is going to be a bear. Sunrise probably is going to be one of the worst streets in all of Sacramento to get from like maybe like Gold River all the way to like a Roseville. Sunrise around like 9 o'clock or around 5 o'clock in the afternoon is impossible. Now they're creating stuff like the connector project and they're creating other ways to get from point A to point B, but traffic is going to be a kind of a bear here in Sacramento in the future. It's kind of getting that way right now. Now the 50 freeway is a lot of what's called construction going on the 50. So you're going to add maybe another 10 minutes of like traffic time as well too. Even nighttime when they're doing the work, you're going to be kind of like squeezed up into one lane. So the traffic right now flow in the 50 isn't fantastic. Now, another thing too is what you're going to notice is in areas like Folsom, where Folsom Ranch is, East Bidwell is going to be a beast of a street unless they start doing something about that. They're putting in all these brand new homes in Folsom Ranch, which are great. Don't get me wrong. The new homes, people love them. But East Bidwell is a traffic jam right now. They didn't really think it through. They didn't think about building all these houses and having one street that was accessible to the freeway. So East Bidwell, 9 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 12 o'clock, it is a bear right now too. So that's another thing to consider if you're maybe thinking about buying in Folsom Ranch. The traffic to even just get you to the freeway could be a little bit brutal. Now in Elk Grove is getting that way as well too, with builders like Taylor Morrison, Woodside, Beazer, the list goes on and on. So a lot of these new home communities, you're getting like an influx of maybe like 10, 15,000 brand new homes and brand new people buying homes. So traffic is going to become a problem in the future in the Sacramento area, if not already in certain spots. Like I said, the streets to watch out for, Sunrise for me is the worst. You got Bradshaw, which is it's brutal as well too. You got streets like Auburn. You got streets like, what is it? Like another good one is Hazel. You got a bunch of these side streets that just need work. And in the future, because we're putting in so much new, like, commercial developments, residential developments, you really got to know exactly where you're going to work. If you work in Folsom and you're thinking about living in Rockland, don't do it to yourself. It's going to be a brutal commute of about 45 to 50 minutes. So really, really strategically plan out exactly where you're going to work opposed to like where you're going to live. And look at it during traffic times. Check out the GPS at 9 o'clock, at 5 o'clock. If you come up during the weekend, like on a Sunday to look at homes, yeah, there's going to be no traffic on Sunday. but at 9 o'clock and 5 o'clock, there's probably going to be traffic. Do drive-bys of areas as well too, so you're going to see if you got people parking on the streets or whatnot. But like I said, we're building a lot of new homes and there's going to be a lot of new people living in the Sacramento area. So traffic definitely is going to increase and probably even get really worse. Now, if you're someone who works maybe in the Bay Area and has to commute 1 day a week and you always dreamed of living in Folsom, that commute time between Folsom to the Bay Area is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, or longer and longer, just because we're going to have so many people moving into Folsom Ranch, and Folsom is going to be definitely a bottleneck in the Sacramento area. With all the homes being built in Folsom Ranch, there's just no way it won't be. So those are some things to kind of keep in mind. And like I said, traffic isn't bad like LA or San Francisco, but the idea of Sacramento and the Sacramento metro area is they didn't really build it with the idea that we're going to have this influx of all these new houses and all these new residents. They're doing what they can, and there's projects like the Connector Project, there's projects like Roosevelt Parkway that they're extending, but they still have a long way to go, and traffic is going to be a bear. So when you're thinking about coming up here, always understand that you need to be relatively conscious of traffic cycles, how long it takes you to get a point A to point B, especially if you're thinking of maybe living in Roseville, working downtown. These are things that definitely need to be a big priority to you before you move into the area. Another huge one is HOAs and Mello-Roos. These are big ones, guys. If you live somewhere else, like maybe the Bay Area, or you live somewhere like Los Angeles, you're probably not going to have an HOA, and you're probably not even going to know what a Mello-Roos is. I get it. Okay, so let's go over it. HOAs, you're going to see a lot of HOA communities in the Sacramento area, a lot of master planned communities. Some communities also like that'll have HOAs and you won't really even know why they have an HOA. You'll look around and go like, is there a gate? No. Do they maintain the backyard? Also, no. So researching the HOAs and seeing if it's worth it to you, the bang for your buck, is something that I always encourage any client we work with. Take a look at the HOAs and see if it's worth it to you. Now, some people I work with love HOAs and they're like the security, the gate, that's what I want. But more than not, I work with a lot of clients who are like, well, you know what? I want to put up an ADU, or I want to do something to the front of the house. Check with the HOA rules specifically, because a lot of communities like the one I live in, Gold River, they don't really allow you to paint the house the color you want. That's right. Majority of the houses in Gold River are brown, and you got to keep it brown. So knowing the HOA rules are huge. So if you're someone coming into the area and you're saying to yourself, I've never had an HOA, it can't be that bad. One is there could be deferred maintenance that you're jumping in on. So all of a sudden have to pay this amount of money to maybe get the streets paved. So figure that out as well too. But HOA rules can be the killer of communities at times. I would encourage anyone, if you are going to jump into an HOA, try to be a part of the board and try to be very active. It's easy just to coast and say, you know what, I don't really care, until all of a sudden, like in my HOA, because I had 5 cracks in my driveway, they sent out a notice that anyone that had more than 4 or 5 cracks in their driveway needed to repave their driveway. So we can get a little out of control. So with HOAs, I'd encourage anyone to just make sure to be a part of the board and also to read over the rules and see if it's okay with you. A lot of people make the assumptions like stuff like, oh, you know what, I'm going to put an ADU in the back. Some of these HOAs don't allow it. Or if you say, you know what, I'm going to get the pergola redone. And all of a sudden they're like, well, no. Before you get it redone, you have to go to an architectural committee to have them approve it. Yes, an architectural committee. Those things do exist in certain HOAs. So like I said, for you guys coming out here, if you're new to HOAs, make sure that before you fall in love with maybe a Serrano or a Gold River or one of these amazing master plan communities, read over the HOAs. They might not allow you to do what you want to do to the property when you get it. Now let's switch gears and talk a little bit about Mello-Roos. Mello-Roos can be a nightmare for a lot of people. First of all, a lot of people come out here to look at brand new homes. They don't even know what a Mello-Roos is. So Mello-Roos is a taxable bond, usually for about 20 to 40 years. And what it does is, in a lot of the new areas that are being developed, it basically builds up the area, right? So with this bond, basically the builders are kind of sloughing off a little bit on the buyers. And the buyers of these new houses are paying a Mello-Roos tax that basically pays for parks, schools, sidewalks, lights, trees, and that whole thing. So it's almost like you're building up the community, but you have to pay for it every single month. So like I've seen Mello-Roos as low as $250. I've seen Mello-Roos as high as $1,000 a month. So it can be a little bit of brutal, like a shock, right? Where you're thinking to yourself, you know what, we're buying a $600,000 house. And now on top of that, we're also paying an additional $350 every single month for Mello-Roos. So before you fly out here to Sacramento and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I want a brand new house. Those incentives that they're offering are just amazing. Understand what a Mello-Roos tax is, that chances are 99% of the communities here in Sacramento, you'll have to pay some sort of Mello-Roos. And also in these areas like the Elk Grove, like 95757 and other areas, if a house is maybe more than maybe 7 or 8 years, there's probably going to be some sort of Mello-Roos attached to it as well too. So it doesn't just apply for the brand new homes. It also applies for the homes that are being built that probably within the last 6-7 years, maybe even 10 years, certain areas in Elk Grove, even as many as 14 years, a lot of those houses have still Mello-Roos that you have to pay off. So even if you bought it from someone, you're going to have to continue paying the Mello-Roos. Now, a good way to figure out if a house does have Mello-Roos and it's not a brand new home is you can actually download the tax bill from the previous year of the house. If you see a couple line items that say Mello-Roos, that's going to be on you. Okay, another huge mistake is a lot of people when they're making the move to Sacramento is they don't realize how many new home communities we have in the Sacramento area. Rockland, Lincoln, Elk Grove, Antelope, West Roseville. We got Folsom, we got them everywhere pretty much in Sacramento. So if you're looking for a specific spot, like let's say El Dorado Hills, we got Elliott up there, we got Lennar up there. If you're looking for Folsom, we got Taylor Morrison, Toll Brothers. Elk Grove, we got Woodside, we got Beezer. We got builders building brand new communities in almost every single part of the Sacramento metro. Now, the biggest thing I would say to you guys, if you are going to see the new homes, work with a team like our team that really knows the new home builders, because there's a lot of gotchas, right? Like you'll walk into the model home and all of a sudden you'll assume that all these finishes and upgrades come with the house. So that's a big thing to understand, that normally you'll walk into a home and maybe like a Taylor Morrison and they will put in about $100,000 worth of finishes that you have to pay additionally to whatever the price is on the home. Also lot premiums, also solar, also the idea of actually paying to get the backyard landscaped. So there are a lot of gotchas, but I would say having those options to have brand new homes in the Sacramento area is a huge plus. A lot of times also these builders will offer crazy incentives. Now that's another big thing. Just make sure that, you'll have to work with the builder's lender, but just make sure you have a team looking through the loan documents to make sure that they're not baking in some of the fees, because I've seen some random fees be associated with the builder's lenders and they're trying to make back the money they're giving you for closing costs and incentive money. So that's just a big, huge heads up. And like I said, we work with a lot of new homes in the area and we work with that kind of stuff to help protect you from paying fees that you really shouldn't have to pay. But getting back on topic, new homes are big business in the Sacramento area. So if you're someone who's maybe moving to Roseville, you got new home options as well too. When you're moving into an area, it's really, really nice, especially during this time of the real estate market where inventory levels are so super, super low. It's great to have the options of having new homes. New homes will give you those big room concept, lower rates, and give you additional options that you might need when you're moving into the area. Another huge regret that a lot of people have is not testing out the weather here in Sacramento before they move in. A lot of people hear it's hot, they underestimate it, and all of a sudden summertime hits and it affects them a lot. So here's what I'll tell you guys this. If I was someone who's moving into the Sacramento area, I would understand one thing, that summertime is going to be that make it or break it time for you. Is it Arizona hot? No. Is it Las Vegas hot? No. But at the same time, if you're coming in from a climate like the Bay Area or Portland, it's definitely going to be something that you need to get, you need to test out and figure out if it's for you or not. For me, I came in from the Bay Area and it was brutal for the first 3 years. It was just absolutely crazy. Yes, it was nice living in Sacramento County where I had SMUD because I was blasting the AC and it really, really wasn't that expensive. But at the same time, it was something where I drove up, I had a black car with black interior and it was just a nightmare because I was showing houses and it felt just so hot out there too. So I would say for people out there who maybe are new to the Sacramento area, just come in during the summertime for a few days, figure it out a little bit, see what the heat is really, really like. I'd say maybe around the 4th of July time, just come out here for a few days and just feel it out. It's going to give you a little bit of an idea about the weather here in Sacramento. Other than that, the rainy season, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think I think the seasons change. It's really, really nice around here. Now, I know a lot of people who grew up in Sacramento are going to say, it's really not that hot here. Yes, you grew up in Sacramento, so it isn't that hot for you. but someone coming in from a cooler climate, it's definitely going to be something that is really going to be a little bit of a game changer. It's either going to be something where you say, oh, you know what? It's not that bad. I don't know what that crazy YouTube realtor is talking about. Or you're going to say, you know what? It is hotter than I anticipated, and maybe the move to Sacramento isn't going to really work for me. Okay, I'm going to make 4 more quick points and I'm going to end this video. I don't want to drag this out for you guys longer than it needs to be. All right, number 1, I would say if you are going to rent first before you buy and you have kids, try to figure out exactly what school district you want to be in. One of the things that I hear a lot of people do is they'll move in here and they'll just find the first house they run into. And, you know, they move in the kids start school, they meet their friends, and they're not in the school district they're going to end up buying a house in. So do a little research in the area, even if you plan on renting first, right? Figure out the school district, the environment, the lifestyle, and everything too. Do your due diligence, because the last thing you want to do is move to the Sacramento area, rent for a little bit, especially if you have kids, put them in school, and then all of a sudden realize that maybe, you know, you're in Elk Grove now, but you love Rockland and you're moving them out of schools. That's huge. And a lot of people make that big regret move, and they move into an area, they don't really know it. They get into the schools, the kids end up having friends, and they end up staying in that area, mainly because they just didn't do the research ahead of time. Now, another thing too, is another big one, is the fact that Sacramento is a driving city. There's a lot of similarities between Los Angeles. Everybody has cars. So what I notice is a lot of people coming in from the Bay Area who maybe are used to, like, you know, 1-car garage or whatnot, they buy these big houses like 3,000, 4,000 square feet, and they settle for a 2-car garage, especially if you're in an HOA community. That can be a huge mistake. What you're going to notice, especially if you have kids, is everybody is going to drive. A 3-car garage for a house that's maybe 3,000 square feet, scale, it makes sense. And it's something that in Sacramento is going to pay dividends in the long run. A lot of people, what you're going to notice if you go to resell a home that's for maybe 3,000 square feet and it has a 2-car garage, that's going to be somewhat of a problem. So if you're looking to move into the Sacramento area, and maybe you're not used to having that much space storage, or you're even thinking to yourself, you know, we have a child and, you know, they're 10. Eventually, they're going to get to the age of driving and you're not going to need that extra space. We actually have a neighbor that lives across the way, and we're in Gold River, and they have a 2-car garage, and their high school kid drives a car, and he actually has to park it at another house's garage because they didn't get a 3-car garage. So I would say don't underestimate the idea that Sacramento is a driving city, and chances are your kids are going to have a car. We don't have great public transportation here, so that's kind of what it is. Now, another one, air quality, right? We do have a fire season normally during the year. It's about 2 weeks. It's a little hazy. Air quality isn't great. There's a lot of pink in the air as well too, just so you guys have a little bit of a heads up. The other thing too is because we are in California and we see a lot of seasons changing and whatnot too. If you have allergies, yes, they're probably going to go off like crazy here in Sacramento for like the spring and fall and everything too. So just understand, like, we have a lot of the seasons changing and it's absolutely beautiful. But if you have allergies, that could be something also that is something that, like, you know, if you're very much allergic to stuff, or you have like air allergies, it could be something that you need to test out. I would say coming out here during fire season, coming out here during, like, you know, during spring or like fall, when everything is happening here, that could be a good time to test out if it's a little too much for your allergies. Now, the last thing I will tell you this, and this is a big one, a lot of people might hate me. A lot of my friends are realtors out there. One of the things I've seen that's one of the biggest regrets a lot of people do is they pick the neighborhood realtor. I know. All realtors are created equal to a lot of people, but in the Sacramento area, it is bizarre. If you work with a realtor that knows Roseville, they won't know El Dorado Hills. They won't know East Sacramento. They won't know Elk Grove. So I would say if you're moving into the area, make sure you're working with a relocation specialist, someone who has a resume of moving people in all over the area, so they can give you a little bit of the Pepsi challenge. If you're thinking about moving into Rockland, maybe Folsom's an option, but if the realtor doesn't know about Folsom, then you're kind of in a bad shape. So the neighborhood specialist, I would say more than not. And it's bizarre, honestly. I moved into Sacramento and I've never met so many realtors that are just so specific on the area and they have no clue about other parts of the Sacramento metro. So I would say if you're moving into the area, just make sure you're working with someone who has a good resume about moving people in all over the place, and they can tell you the pros and cons to all these various cities, neighborhoods, and communities. Because if you don't, what could end up happening to you is 3 years down the road, you could find a really nice set of friends. You go visit them and you realize that You went to Rockland, you moved into Rockland, but you should have moved into El Dorado Hills. You just never knew about it. Okay, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please smash that like button. It would mean a lot to me and the YouTube algorithm. Also, any questions and comments you have regarding this video specifically, put them down below. Let me know if I missed any gotchas about moving to the Sacramento area. I'm sure the people watching this video would appreciate it, so please comment below. Also, let me know what you think about Sacramento. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What's your opinion on the Sacramento area? Because again, I think other people watching this video would love to know that. Now, if you're thinking about making the move to Sacramento, we'd love to work with you. Reach out to our team. There's a Zoom link below where we can set up a time, answer any questions you have regarding the area. We are a true relocation team and we'd love to work with you, answering any questions you have, setting up tours, and finding you your dream home in the Sacramento area. Now, if you're thinking about selling your home, reach out to our team. We'd love to talk to you a little bit about how we market homes. We do something that no other team in the area does in Sacramento. We market it to YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We get more eyeballs on your house than any other team in the entire area, and we'd love to show you the analytics behind our marketing and show you why it's effective and why it works. Now, one last thing before I go, guys, there's a playlist over here of another video for you. This is to help you get educated about the area, know about Sacramento. Guys, again, this is Mark. Hopefully this video helped you. Until next video, see ya.